Welcome to Corporate Caffeine. I'm Dacia Coffee. As a chief marketing officer, speaker, author, copywriter, and 3-time entrepreneur, I've learned a thing or two about influence and impact in the business world. So I want to share with you what I've learned about how to be heard, be seen, and be successful, and introduce you to the people I've met along the way who learned how to unlock their potential. Welcome to Corporate Caffeine. Today's guest is Alex Finley, the CEO of LeadsOnline. They are a software company that helps law enforcement find elusive suspects, stolen property, and even patterns of criminal activity. Not only is this company ridiculously interesting, but Alex's team also has a deep commitment to those that they serve and an everyday alignment around their core values. Alex is a wickedly brilliant leader with a kind and polished manner, so we definitely get into the deep end today. Let's go ahead and dive in. Alex Finley, we are so excited to welcome you to Corporate Caffeine. Thank you. And thank you, by the way, for being the inaugural guest on the new podcast. That's so exciting.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I couldn't be more honored.
I love it. So you are the CEO of LeadsOnline. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about, what that is? Because it's so exciting. I don't do it justice. It's the coolest doggone company ever.
Yeah, we used to like to say that we're a really big deal to a small group of people.
A small, very important group of people.
Yeah, very important group of people. So LeadsOnline is a technology company that serves law enforcement. And so it's a SaaS business model that helps law enforcement advance their cases, and then it helps businesses comply with local reporting mandates. And so if you've got a business in a specific jurisdiction, like a pawn shop or a secondhand store, scrapyard, that buy things from the public, those businesses are required to make their transactions available to law enforcement, and they have been for many, many, many years. And the evolution has kind of been, it was a bound book on the desk of a pawn clerk that they would take down all the transaction information, and has evolved to paper tickets that the pawn detail unit would come around and collect. And then the 2021 version is that those businesses report their transactions to LeadsOnline via automated electronic means. And the reason they do that is because every once in a while, one of those transactions that comes through those businesses has a nexus with some kind of criminal activity. Either the person that is involved with that transaction is related to a case, or that piece of property is related to a case. And so then investigators will come into our system and search for people and property and patterns to advance their cases.
It's amazing. The funny thing for me when I learned about you guys was that you just assume that every cop, every agency, every FBI agent has, the Tony Stark sidekick, where they've got AI running all of this stuff, and it's not true. You buy into it on TV shows that you go clickety clack on the keyboard and poof. And it's fascinating because, there's real company, real people, real programmers figuring out how to try to make that fictional reality a real life reality.
Yeah, it's so true. The joke is that nobody in reality has that cool of technology, and nobody's actually that good looking, including ourselves. But yeah, the government in general, GovTech, and specifically law enforcement is really underserved with technology, and so it's a lot of complacency from procurement models that enter into long contracts, which leaves outdated software and whatnot. And so there's kind of a problem with legacy systems in government. And so we try to take the opposite approach and provide them with really amazing tools. Not quite Tony Stark, but as good as we can possibly do.
Yes.
Because we know that technology is really advanced, and we have an opportunity to bring advanced technology into an underserved market.
So how long did this take to evolve? Going from pen and paper, handing it over to your software, and you basically solving these crimes in a way and working with detectives. Like, how long ago?
LeadsOnline started in 2000, and so it's been 21 years of collecting these transactions electronically and then providing the service to investigators. But it just started with this coordination problem. And the coordination problem was these businesses needed a more efficient way to comply with their reporting mandates. And so they can chit chat with the pawn detail detective if they want to, and hand over all their paper slips, or they can say, hey, here's all our transactions electronically. Let us know if there's one that you might be interested in. And so it became a lot more efficient for the businesses, and so they really liked it. And then the investigators no longer had to dedicate an entire person to driving around all the pawn shops, picking up all the slips.
So I'm sure that was their favorite part of their job.
Right. Yeah, there's got to be a better way.
Definitely what being a cop looked like in their mind. Definitely.
It's like, it's Monday. I've got to go drive around, pick up slips again.
And then even worse, they'd take all those slips back, and then somebody from the records department would have to key them into a system if they were going to do that, or they would just sit in a box to be picked up if they were looking for a trombone that got stolen from the band department. And so it started off with that coordination problem. And once that coordination problem was solved for a jurisdiction and a small group of businesses, it expanded. The neighboring jurisdiction said, hey, why aren't you guys running around picking up all those tickets anymore? They said, well, we got a LeadsOnline. And they said, what's a LeadsOnline? And then they evolved from there and said, that sounds like a better way. And then so there was this big network effect to where then these investigators can start seeing transaction data across jurisdictions. And so then you get a network that gets stronger the more users that are on it. And so then it became more and more valuable to the next user to do things this way, to where we eventually just became the de facto standard for the way businesses comply with these reporting mandates, and investigators sort through this type of data.
Yeah. So I know your headquarters in Dallas. Did you guys start this in Dallas?
Yep.
And expand out from there?
Yeah. So
how long would it have taken to get like across state lines, in other words?
It started
from 2000.
Let's see. It started in the DFW area with Garland, Dallas, Carrollton, and then we also had small subsets in Arkansas and Missouri.
Okay.
And so there's some folks at our company that have ties to central Arkansas, and so we were able to kind of get the ball rolling there. And then there were a couple of folks that had ties to Missouri, to where we would go. We started with some of those agencies, and it just kind of jurisdiction by jurisdiction exploded from there.
You know, one of the things that strikes me so much about how your company was grown is that you're following and solving the problem, and then it seems that continues to drive your innovation and your growth. And so, of course, I've been blessed enough to go see your incredibly beautiful office, and you guys are huge fans of the people that you serve. I mean, like, just to see the passion on the walls and how everybody talks about how seriously they take, helping underserved agencies solve crimes and reduce their stress and have a win. I mean, it's really inspiring. But, do you think that the pattern of growth has affected how you've built the culture? Because, I mean, it's just, and I'm leaving out one detail. For the audience, I'm trying to remember if people haven't seen your office. I want you to explain as a detail so they can understand why I'm asking this question. You have windows everywhere. And so I want you to talk about, why are there so many windows in your office? Yeah,
it's hard to paint the picture without actually coming.
Yes.
But one of the things that we kind of live on is that it's not about us. And so we take a very much as you and your team has helped us put it, a devoted ally type position. And so we are not the one that are solving cases. We are not the ones that are making arrests. It's LeadsOnline, it's not Arrests Online. We are the ones that are providing our users, which are law enforcement, detectives, crime analysts, patrolmen, sergeants, lieutenants, everybody who has an involvement with righting the wrongs in this world, we are providing them with the information that they need to do their jobs well. And we care very deeply about that. And sometimes people don't like to talk about it, but there are some really horrible things that happen in this world. And there are a few people that have chosen to go do the work to right those wrongs. And you can't fix them, but you can go deliver justice to a victim that either had something as simple as a weed eater stolen out of their garage. You can get them that back and make them feel a little bit less violated, a little bit more whole. Or you could have a very serious violent crime victim or victim's family that you are now responsible for delivering justice to. And so we take that service posture of our business really, really seriously. But long way to say, one of the ways that we think about that is we want to be light in their lives. And so whenever they call us, we have no idea what they just got done doing. It's remarkable some of the things that our end users have to deal with on the same day that they talk to us. And so whenever they call us, we want that to be the best experience of their day. We want to be light to them. We want to be life. We want them to laugh. We want them to be effective. We want to help them get their job done because that's what they've hired us to do. But we want to be the bright spot in their day. And so then in our office, we like to let as much natural light as possible come through. And so earlier this year, we busted down a bunch of walls and let more and more natural light through.
Oh, that's neat. Good
So
story.
cool.
Yeah,
I know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is just the coolest thing. And there's the attention to detail. I think, okay, not what I think. What do you think? I mean, do you think attention to detail is something that comes naturally to a technology company, or do you think that's kind of a side note, or is it culture? I mean, why? Like, that is such a cool idea. And it's so aligned with what you do. Where did that come from? Like, what's going on there?
Nobody's ever accused me of having great attention to detail.
And that is why
Well,
you
was
are
it
the
your
CEO.
idea? Hold on a minute.
No.
Okay.
Me either, for the record.
It was? Okay.
It was, but it comes from a posture of knowing our people. And really, we don't, I don't think a lot of companies, they claim to know their clients, but we really do. These are our
very
friends.
Rare.
These are our friends. We have these people to our conference every year. We go see them at conferences. We host a big tailgate for every Cowboys game. We know these people, and so it kind of is a habit now that everything that we're doing kind of runs through the lens of would Detective Huckabee from Carrollton, would he like this?
Yeah.
And is this, knowing his persona and knowing a crime analyst persona or whatnot, we just do our best to do things that would honor them and would take care of them.
It's awesome. And you guys have done some really witty, fun stuff in regards to being that light, whether it's at an event with them. I mean, it's been a hoot, just watching how much you follow their lead,
Mm-hmm.
And then allow that to infiltrate, like how you guys actually function, like processes and everything. It's really cool.
And it's not only just respectful to them, but it also helps us have a better product. And so by getting to know them, we know their hangups. We know the problems that they have with their existing technology. We know the limitations that they have in their job in terms of accessing data or the way that their current technology works. And so if we just listen and we get to know them, then we have an opportunity to take that feedback and apply that to a nationwide user base.
Yeah.
And see if we can solve a problem. One problem from Carrollton, Texas would apply to the whole bunch of them.
So what's the average time it would take to solve one of these crimes? Say you get a lead that comes in and they see something's not right maybe, and you're like, okay, let me enter this into the database and see what I can pull up, see what I can find.
Yeah, the data that comes in the system is live.
Okay.
And so these transactions are coming in from all over the country all the time. And we've had success stories where a detective is literally on the scene taking a police report and then punches into his computer in his car, and is able to find that the individual sold the item just a few minutes earlier.
Wow.
And so it's not always that fast.
Right.
Really cool when it is, but sometimes things take years and years and years, and they're looking for the one piece of intelligence that will break their case wide open. And so it's the diligence to check and the persistence to stick with it.
So where do you see this evolving from here? I mean, the next steps of that, how they could integrate maybe street cameras to, there's no telling down the road where all this data can just keep on coming in, and then we're going, oh, wait, he's walking down the street. He's 2 blocks up. It may get to that, we might be old, but
there's a lot of companies that are doing a lot of really cool things in the investigation space. And so there's companies with license plate readers. There's companies with ways to connect disparate systems and whatnot. But the way this is going, the overall kind of trend, and it's a unfortunate one, is that there are too many cases and there's not enough investigators. And so the law enforcement profession has had a hard couple of years, which has left a lot of agencies across the country being understaffed. And so just because you're understaffed doesn't mean the crime stops.
No.
And so the way that you can address that is through either prevention with technology or remediation with technology. And so the long and the short of it is that the way this is going is that law enforcement needs technology to do more for them. And so we can't have antiquated technology. We can't have legacy technology. We have to have good state-of-the-art technology that will never be able to replace a investigator. It's impossible, but may be able to do part of the job.
Right.
And so just part of the job, while some of these detectives are out on the street just keeping today's peace, the technology can do the work to at least make sure that all the possible data has been crunched and that it surfaces the right intelligence to take the step in the case whenever they actually are back to a computer and working.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, here's one of the things I love about business-to-business companies is who even knew that someday, there would be a group of people doing this cool work, building these systems, helping real-life heroes to do good work for good people. So that bodes the question, did you know this was what you were going to do when you grow up?
No, I didn't. I thought I was going to be a basketball player, and then I stopped growing.
At what age did that dawn on you? This might not work out.
Eighth grade, I think. I realized I had peaked. But no, I didn't know. So the thing that listeners probably don't know is my dad actually ran the company for a long time, still very involved in the company. And so I've always kind of observed it from afar, but never thought that it was going to be something that I would, actually jump into and work on. And so I went to college. I got a job in finance and strategy, did some what I thought was really cool, meaningful work there to grow e-commerce businesses. And then I started helping out a little bit more in the LeadsOnline company, and I started thinking, man, this is a really good business. There's the product works. You never want to underestimate the value of something that works.
Oh my gosh, isn't that
the product works? The customers are successful with it, and there's an increasing need for more. And so why don't we think about growing this thing? Let's think about adding more. What else could we do to serve our users? And so the more I kind of got involved with that, I started thinking this could be a really good thing to do.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I ended up. And so no, never did I think that in 2021 this would be the thing to be doing. But I'm really, really glad that I am.
I love it. That is so cool. It's that old thing where they say, one generation to launch it, second generation to grow it, so here we go.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, do you have any brothers or sisters or any other family members that are interested in the business as well?
No.
Like, that's it?
No.
Yeah.
So I've got a little brother who's a lot smarter than I am, who is in analytics. And so he likes his analytics job, and likes his independence. And so has been excited and supportive for the work that we're doing, but hasn't decided to join the team.
Does he have the entrepreneur mindset as well?
Oh,
okay, so he does his.
Oh yeah, he ran a podcast for 2 years. He's well more versed than I am.
So cool.
We need to give him a call, help us out.
He's a musician.
Podcast.
Yeah, he's an impressive guy.
It's interesting because I look at our 4 boys and only one of them is even thinking about going into business. They've been around it at the dining room table for 9 years. I mean, so longer than they can remember what we were even talking about, right? And then we've owned a company before this one. And so you always think, well, I suppose the entrepreneurial aspect of, growing up in a household of business owners is going to rub off on them, but you never know how.
Right.
Is it going to be a side hustle? Is it going to be that independent spirit? Is it going to be down the road they go, hey, I actually think what you're doing is cool, and I didn't really pay attention before. But it's funny to think. I have no idea if any of the boys will ever want to be a part of the business. It'll be weird. It's so weird for me to think about that.
I always, in the back of my mind, thought that they would, and now they're getting to that age, late teens, 20s, and watching them develop into their own person, and I'm like, I don't think so. Not right now. But everybody, matures and comes to that point on their own throughout their life, whether it's young, middle age, later on in life, where they take the risk in. Before I forget, what's the most interesting thing that you guys have helped solve?
Oh my gosh.
Or throw a couple out there. That's fine.
It's hard to pick one.
Yeah.
But there was a I'll go for a fun one, and then I'll go for a serious one. But the fun one is that during the January 6th insurrection, we were working with DC Metro to find Nancy Pelosi's podium, which had been listed on OfferUp.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my
You're kidding me.
So the funny part about it is it was listed for $99,000 on OfferUp out of California, and it was a spoof posting. And so somebody had found it and tipped off the investigators that it was on OfferUp. And through our partnership with OfferUp and the law enforcement agents, then we helped them prove that was a spoof. They ended up finding it behind a dumpster. But
really? Okay.
But
that's funny though to have that communication on something.
Right.
Yeah.
We have the person on our team who worked with the investigators at DC Metro is named Emma. And so now we joke that January 6th was the day that Emma saved democracy.
Yes. Oh my God, that's fabulous. The other one that I think it's really important for everybody to know why we do the things that we do. And so this next one is just one that for our team and for our clients and for anybody who asks about the business, this is kind of the why. So there was a individual last year, and last year was a tough year for a lot of people. But there was an individual who was about to jump off of a parking deck. And so he's standing up at the top of the parking deck. The response team is standing at the bottom, telling him not to jump, negotiating with him to try to back him off. But there was an investigator at the bottom of that parking garage who had just been in a training of ours the day before. And so this individual did not know all the things that you can do in LeadsOnline the day before this incident. And he learned in that training that you can find information on
people
Right.
in Leads Online
Yeah.
that are related to your case. And the individual who's about to jump just kept saying, I will only talk to my brother. And so this investigator figured out the name of the brother, found information on him in Leads Online, called him, got him to the scene, talked his brother off of the ledge.
Wow.
And so literally, because of the work that one of the individuals on our team did the day prior, training this investigator and the wherewithal for this investigator to take all the cases that he has in his head and all the different systems that he uses and think, I remember that I can do that in Leads Online. This guy is alive.
Wow.
And so that's one of the kind of the core, why is it really important to have good technology
Yes.
to this market?
Yes.
And so that's kind of what keeps us moving.
So are they just now, well, you guys have known this has been capable, but now are you telling this story to other detectives of saying, hey, well, you can use this rather than just getting back personal goods or solving crime? Wow,
So we're trying to, part of the network deal is that as we learn something from one part of the network that could be really helpful, then we try to let everybody else in the network know that, hey, the investigator over here had great success in this type of case under this circumstance. Give it a try.
It's amazing.
And so we try to facilitate that communication of new use cases and best practices.
It's interesting. This is a little bit chasing a squirrel, but talking about that sharing of information in the network and not making assumptions about this is. People will just remember to use things or they'll remember to engage. We've gotten to talk to a few, detectives and wow, oh my gosh. Going back to how passionate you guys are for helping people, talk about opening your eyes where we just had all these assumptions about, well, this is how they work cases, or this is how you find leads, or this is where they use the technology, and the details of what happens and the sometimes strange habits that people do, the small details of their everyday existence. You go, it just blows your hair back in regards to, oh my gosh, I know how to help you, use the system, share information, figure something out. But it's been so personally cool, to be able to do that. And especially to remember this technology is about what's happening off the screen, not on the screen. And so what's going to trigger them remembering, oh, I can use a screen or a piece of technology in this very dramatic, very serious, very time-sensitive scenario.
Yep.
So, I think that is so exciting because of all of the scenarios that you could paint, that would not have been one that I could have come up with.
No, no. And we think about ourselves a lot. And so we think, man, why wouldn't everybody use this all the time for every single case? Because we think that we have something that we can provide you to advance your case, take your investigation forward. But the reality is that if we don't make that so dang obvious or so simple to find those insights to take your case forward, then we can't expect somebody who has a stack of 30, 40 cases on their desk of horrible things that have happened to people to remember, oh, I think you could use Leads Online for that.
Yes.
It has to be so simple. And we have to have a lot of commitment to sharing the ways that you can use it, and then not getting our feelings hurt if they don't, because it is not about us. It is about them figuring out what's the best way to deliver justice for my victims, and we sure as heck hope that we're there for them when they need us.
Now, is this a service that you guys provide overseas in Europe, or are you looking to do that? Do they have the infrastructure to support this? Or?
We've found that there's just so much work to do in the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
that we've kept it local.
Yeah.
And so we serve a lot of the country, but there's still ground to be won, and there's still agencies that we can go get into. And so we just stay focused on the new agencies and what else we can do for our existing clients.
Okay, so I'm going to change the subject just a little bit more towards business and this kind of thing. Because when I think about a company like yours, cool technology, amazing mission, a company that takes their culture and their people super seriously. But here we are in the midst of the Great Resignation. So what are you seeing? Has it been easy to recruit people? Has it been very difficult? I mean, what does the people side of this look like? Because I would think, wow, who would not want to work for a company like yours? Like, wow, it must be so easy. People must be lining up to be a part of this.
Yeah, whenever we post a job, we get a ton of applicants. And everybody says that same thing. They say, this is great. I can't believe there's a company that does this.
Yes.
And they're fired up about it. The hard thing is just the market's moving really fast right now.
Yeah.
And so what we see is that we'll get 100 applicants for a job, 200 applicants for a job. And then we'll be running our process, and several of them will be taking jobs throughout the process.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a move fast type environment. And so I think we're dealing with it just like everybody else is.
Yep.
And yeah, hoping that people throughout the application process and people on our team really can get excited about the why. Why we exist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's something that I always want to encourage people in job transitions to think about, two things, if I'm talking to people that are younger, I have this soapbox about, no, you don't even know what your dream job is. You have to go figure out the things that you can't stand and the bosses that hurt you and the challenging things that brought out these secret hidden superpowers. And then you'll figure out what your dream job is, because you've just got to have a little bit of life experience to even put some oomph behind that definition. But on the flip side, I think it gets scary to make a change, and to not just take the very first thing right in front of you versus, I'm bringing value. There's a reason I just got an offer, and maybe I'm allowed to be just 5 days more picky, and really think about that heart place that you can come from so that you are in the driver's seat with a company that you can have impact, impact in the world, impact on your coworkers, impact on, on everything that you do, especially your own personal life. But
yeah, and there's we're in this this environment where it's every day that a LinkedIn recruiter is going to hit you in your inbox and say, we'll pay you a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but sometimes that's enough to get people to question the thing that they have. And so again, for our team and for everybody that's coming to us, we want them to be sold out on the missionality of the business, the why we exist, the good that you're doing in the world, the 1 degree of separation from a victim. And so if we can focus on that, and if we can get people to realize that's the opportunity that we have in front of us,
that's amazing.
Then I think we've got a good opportunity to build a great team.
It's almost like a public service work that you're doing. Well, it is technically, but you're not directly.
But we get to do it with private sector.
Exactly. You get the best of both worlds. I would take less money to go work for a company like that, rather than something I'm like, what, they're paying me $5,000 more a year. I
think also, though, I'm curious what you think about this, Alex. I think we naturally have a tendency to bring an entrepreneurial mindset to every decision we make. I mean, even the dumbest things like going a new place or trying something different or breaking a process or, just changing things, being open to change, like aggressively open to change sometimes. So, it's funny because I have gotten pushback recently when I encourage certain individuals, and I'm like, wow, that whole, who moved my cheese thing is still alive and real, so I don't know. I don't know that people would just go, it's so easy to, hold out a little bit, but I think you're right. Take a little bit less money and hold out because the value that you're going to bring is going to follow you.
I do.
Yeah. And
hope so.
We'll clarify. we don't pay less money.
I wasn't meaning by that. I don't know what LeadsOnline pays, by the way. Pull them up.
No, we get to do the private sector thing.
That's right.
We get to pay market, and we get to provide enriching jobs and experiences that we're really excited about.
I love it. So exciting. So many members of your team are so ridiculously hilarious. I mean, I leave a meeting with you guys and my face hurts and I'm like, I'm the least witty person on the planet, but Lord, that was fun. I'm just dying laughing at the camaraderie happening. Oh my gosh.
Overwhelming to keep up at times.
Oh yeah, I've learned don't bother. However, I think that's the other thing too, is like having those connection points. So we just last week had just met two of our new team members for the first time ever in person. One lives in Florida, one lives in Michigan. I mean, our guy from Michigan, Tom's been with us for 2 years almost now.
About a year and a half.
Yeah. And we've never seen him in person until last week. And so first thing we did, Kyle books us on a Segway tour through Fort Worth.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Helmets and goofy smiles. And for 2.5 hours, it could not have been better because it's the fun, the quirkiness, where you get to, re-engage with people and you learn an aspect of them you can't possibly see on Zoom. No matter how much or how good you collaborate or manage a remote workforce. Yep. I mean, it has been incredible to just re-embrace, getting back into the real world and being in person with people.
Yeah, no, we couldn't agree more. It's hard to replace a whiteboarding session.
Yes.
Yep. And it's hard to replace solving a problem with somebody. And so, or a group of somebody's, or overhearing a conversation that said, "Hey, I've got something to add in here." And so for us, it's really important to have our team together.
Yeah.
And so we've got whiteboard along with the light. We've got whiteboards all over our office, and we try to make it to where it's a highly collaborative, highly problem-solving, energetic type place to be.
Yeah.
We've worked remote, or her business has been remote for 8 years, and it's so nice to, like you said, be able to sit down and collaborate, and you can break in a conversation. You don't have to wait on Zoom for 10 minutes to go, oh, what was I going to say?
Right.
Back then, you get so much more out of it, so much more engagement, better ideas. We're so blessed just to be able to have a foundation now, more employees in Fort Worth,
Yeah, this place is nice.
Yeah, we love it. I remember your dad, I've been to your place one time. I remember your dad saying, oh, I can't wait to go see your guys' place. And we just were, I don't even think we signed on this yet.
Yeah, ink hasn't dried. Shh.
Encouraging.
Yeah. And I'm like,
sign it.
I was like, it must be the most unusual place. And I'm like, oh, now he's holding us up to a high standard.
Yep.
But we
Still
did find a unique
furniture.
spot, a historic building. And,
Yeah, it's amazing.
right on the street here. We like it a lot. Yeah.
We've got to find a Fort Worth historian to bring on the podcast because there's so many cool things we're learning. Like we're in Hill's Half Acre, which lots of people around Fort Worth will know that, but most of the people listening would not. Everything from the famous picture of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid memorialized right next door to us. I mean, there is so much weird stuff that we are constantly learning about this place. It is
you need to
fun.
You could double as kind of a tour stop.
Oh yeah.
And so if you get plaques that explain everything around you, and then everybody would come into your office.
Oh yeah.
The Segway tour even stops right here. It's,
They'll wave at us.
Believe it or not, I'm not a tour type of guy very much, and I really enjoyed it. He talks about the history of the city. Then all our team members from out of town got to see the city and hear about the history of it. I was in Hot Springs, Arkansas about a month ago with my son, and we had extra time to burn. He was up there for some pitching workouts, and we took the trolley tour because I've never been to Hot Springs, and I'm like, what can there be here that's really interesting, that type of deal. We enjoyed it, and he's an 18-year-old. So that makes number 2, San Antonio Riverwalk, that boat ride's number 3.
You just got to learn to say yes.
But there's a few.
You're becoming a tour guy.
And less than a handful, I'll put it that way. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so random question. coming in and now leading the business that your dad helped to found and, launch. What did you learn from working with family? I mean, I know he's in his, next turn, as Mark Vincent would say, and I mean, he's really, looking at legacy and that kind of thing. Thank you to you. But, what did you learn from working with family, or what do you learn? What do you think, what insights has that helped you grow from, or the advice you would give, or whatever?
Yeah, we still work together a lot. And so he is the way that we kind of have this positioned right now is we're trying to lessen the day-to-day operational requirements and allow him to focus on strategic projects and more kind of here and there type assignments. Yeah. And then he's leading product. And so he's helping guide the product roadmap and help us execute on our product vision. And so we're still very much in the middle of it. Yeah. But one of the things that I have always appreciated about my dad is that he is when he gets behind something, he's in it. Yes. And it's not ever a passive type deal. It's a okay, what's the problem? I'm in. Let's break it down and dissect it. And there's this Einstein quote that I think it's Einstein. He says something like I'm not always the smartest person in the room. I'm just willing to hang on to the problem for longer. Nice. And, yeah. And I probably butchered that quote, but I think my dad's really good at holding on to the problem for longer than a lot of people have the wherewithal to hold on to it for. It's a big deal. And so that's one of the things that it's been cool to observe up close, because I've always known that, but I've seen a lot of examples of that during this time. And so there's a lot that goes with working with family. And it's probably not for everybody, but it's going really well so far. Did you guys ever have to set specific clear parameters, like we will not talk shop outside of work hours, or is it just neither one of us are very good rule followers? And so as much as we would like that, we just kind of let it happen organically. Yeah.
So what's the rest of the family say when you're at Thanksgiving? You guys are talking shop. Are they, will you guys just knock it off? They just let it go.
A lot of there are times whenever my wife or others will let us know that it's time to go. But for the most part, everybody's pretty gracious about it, and we try to not be annoying.
So he's still really involved with the business. Yep. At what point do you think he'll hand the reins all the way over and just say, "This baby's yours"?
We've let all the operational stuff go, and it's really more of there's this product management book, or it's a hard thing about hard things by. I love the title. Ben Horowitz. So yeah. Sorry, that took a little bit to think of. So Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz talks about before you hire the role, go act in the role. And so if you've never been the marketing person, go be the marketing person. If you've never been the product person, go be the product person before you start evaluating leaders to come in and take that spot. And so there are areas of our company where I've done a couple of them, and then now Dad's doing some of them, where we have needs in a functional area, and we'll go ahead and act in the role for a little bit, and then we'll hire it. Yeah. And so that's kind of the playbook that we're running right now. Yeah, that's amazing. So what happens when you can't do that job? Like, I think about there's a lot of jobs we can't do. Right? Oh my gosh.
I was thinking that's why internally.
That's why you don't hold on to them. That's why you go hire them.
I can't even draw a smiley face. It's laughable to think that I could have been one of our graphic designers, let alone our creative.
I'm not even going to attempt what she does. Like, no way possible.
Yeah, we all have our
6-month rolling cash flow. Absolutely not. Like I will never build a spreadsheet that looks anything like that.
I guess
I'll
with
never
the
even ask the
finances, you would
questions
go, okay, I know
that
enough.
you ask. Although I guess I had to do finance really painfully for a couple of years. Really painfully.
It was
But
painful.
things are, there are some things that take a specific gifting. There are some things that just take structure and process and leadership and stick-to-itiveness and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so it's been important for us to go through areas of the business and figure out, okay, what does this need?
Yeah.
Does this need a team?
Yeah.
Does this need one person, a specialist who's really good at this? Does this need a third party that we could outsource to?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, what is it? And so if you don't really get to know the process, then you're likely to pull the wrong tool.
Yes.
And so we've done it in areas where it turned out to be process plus a specialist. We've done third parties. We've done areas where, hey, okay, we really do need a leader here, and so let's start looking for that leader here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you don't know until you kind of go through it.
That's cool. Recently we really just pulled the curtain back on what we see the next 10 years looking like, to our team, where we just got very granular and very daydreamy and just kind of invited them in and we're like, this is how we make decisions. This is what we think is possible. But you guys are going to imagine possibilities that we couldn't. But one of the interesting parts of that was talking about the expansion of our team and that it's coming. And we want to start opening up the conversation collaboratively around what's the next right role, because especially, marketing is changing so aggressively all the time that the person that we think we might hire 9 months from now might end up being a very different role, and so it's funny because I can't sit in those, but we're trying to do kind of a version of that, like really understanding what's happening. And is it a process breakdown? Oh, is it a role that actually needs to be 3 future people? Like we're starting to realize that we thought there would be one person in this digital space and it will probably be like an entire fleshed out. We're like, oh, that's cool, but just kind of some of the input that we've gotten, from how they're going about their work and that type of thing, and just trying to understand it, more granularly, even if I can't do it. It's been really insightful, and it's such a relief to not have to come up with all the answers.
Right.
Like, I think that was like this big, huge turning
it's a team
point.
Game.
Like huge turning point, and like just my maturation as a leader, I guess, if you want to put it that way, in regards to, instead of having the answers, I just need to have better questions. And it's like, oh, this is way more fun to work like that.
It's good. I got to write that down.
So, because I am definitely not the smartest person in the room most of the time, especially not with our team. Okay, so what books are you reading? Like, what are you, and it is fourth quarter though, so I don't know. I might be throwing you like a horrible question where you're like, no, what are you talking about? But are you reading anything? Are you curious about things right now? Like, where are you at right now?
I was actually coming up with my reading list for next year.
Nice.
And so,
oh, you do it ahead of time?
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
I'm not glorifying this. I just keep notes on my phone all the time.
Yeah.
And then so I've got just pages and pages of notes in my notes app. And so then I just started thinking about next year and what do we want to accomplish as a team? What do I want to accomplish personally? And so there are a couple of books that I've already read that I think there's some really good ideas in there that I would like to go back to. And so there's a book called The Go-Giver.
Oh, it's so good.
So Go-Giver, it's about the laws of stratospheric success that shocker, turn out to be all about giving. Yeah,
it's the generosity
all about
principle.
Service.
Exactly.
And so that one is always a good one to keep on the list.
Have you ever read the book Thou Shalt Prosper?
No.
Oh, it's a bit of a tome.
Okay.
Not going to lie.
Okay.
But it's actually super enjoyable, even just reading it, a single chapter as like a book. Oh my gosh. And it is one that I go back to. And it was probably the first one I really came across, that Go Giver principle about there is a spiritual reality, whether you're a believer or not,
Right.
about when you lead with generosity. And I think it has something to do with freedom. Because when you function like that, you're not anchoring to fear, you're not making decisions based on what you could lose and that kind of thing. And I actually, and then once you do, you step into confidence when you believe in freedom and not fear. So anyways, that was my little diatribe on that.
Yeah. And then there's one that's like a good orienting is How Will You Measure Your Life by Clayton Christensen. And it sounds really big, but it's a book that takes all these academic theories and applies them to your life.
Yeah.
And so there's this academic concept of deliberate and emergent strategies. And so your deliberate strategy is what you just laid out for your 10-year group. It's like, this is what we're going to do. These are the areas that we're going to focus in. We're going to hire this many people. But life has emergent strategies as well, and your business has emergent strategies.
Right.
And so opportunities that arise that you can't foresee. So it's very good to have deliberate strategies, and it's important to have deliberate strategies. And it's very good to have emergent strategies. It's not good to have one or the other.
Nice.
And so they go in parallel together. But that's one of the kind of academic concepts that Dr. Christensen presents in that book.
Why have I heard about him recently?
What was the name of that book?
How Will You Measure Your Life?
Okay.
I know.
And then there's I've actually never read 1984.
Oh.
And so I was going to go read 1984 this year just because there's seeming parallels from
100%.
what I've heard in society right now. And so I read Animal Farm last year.
Yeah.
Again for the 100th time. And I think I'm going to pick up 1984 this year.
The strange one that I had never read was Fahrenheit 451. And so, of course, it showed up on my boys' English reading list. And I'm like, ooh, give that to me when you're done with it. Whew. Oh, good Lord. Very disturbing to be in the here and now reading that book.
Right.
Like,
I haven't read it.
Oh, yeah. Like walls of TVs and how we, have bought into this alternate reality, not as we define it today, but basically they were painting a picture of this and there were bots and, oh my, it's a small little quick read. And I'm thinking, oh God, this futuristic thing that's partially here is very weird.
Yeah. And it just, you can see trending from those books. You can see that there's nothing new.
Yeah.
Because if you were seeing this stuff when those books were written, there's really nothing new. It's just a realization or a personification of what's happening. But
it's very bizarre. Yep.
But yeah, those are a few.
Okay, side note, kudos to you that you've got this business and young child, well, soon to be children, and you are reading books like that. Like, wow, were we reading books like that?
I said they are on my
the list.
Yeah. And so
you were reading How to Parent books.
Yep.
The Baby Whisperer. I don't even.
Don't even bother doing that.
I Google How to Parent.
Yeah.
Yes, there were no
Top 5
phones
things.
back then. Only a few phones. Oh my gosh, I love it. So exciting. So, well, Alex, anything else? My final question, I guess, for you, unless you've got any additional squirrels, is, what advice do you have for people? It can be on any wavelength, any approach, but when you look back to your experiences, the things that you're looking ahead, your interesting world, because you have so many versions of that right now. What advice would you give to people?
Just be open-handed with what you have, whether it's your things or your time or your skills or whatever. Be open-handed with that, and then generally speaking, just keep things simple. We make business and life and everything really, really complicated sometimes, and it doesn't have to be that way. And so if we just be open-handed with what we have, keep things really simple. I think it breeds a lot of contentedness.
Oh my gosh, could not agree more. And I'm going to pause because I want to chase that rabbit so bad down that rabbit hole, but I'm like, nope. Otherwise, we're going to turn this into a 2-hour podcast. So
I know, right?
I love it. Really awesome words of wisdom.
So I'm good for the squirrel question.
Yeah.
What about those socks? What do we have here?
Okay, these are one of
Okay,
the
you have
kind.
to describe them.
Yeah, that's right.
Since
That's
we're
right.
on podcast.
Yeah.
So what do they say? They say, yep, LeadsOnline
okay.
Leadership Conference, Arlington.
Ah,
Yep, so
There
these
we
are
go.
the 2021 commemorative LeadsOnline socks.
Commemorative socks.
And-
yes.
And it was a big debate in our office which socks were going to be the winners. And so we couldn't come to an agreement about which sock design we were going to go with for our conference this year. So we actually produced 500 of each socks for a 300-person conference.
oh
And
my
so
goodness.
minimum order quantities and price points and whatnot is outrageous about our team and our culture. So we couldn't come to an agreement within the office, and there was some election fraud and whatnot that got thrown in there. But we ended up taking this pair of socks and a red and black Argyle pair of socks to the conference, and we set them evenly on the table. And so at check-in, our attendees could come pick a pair. And I got killed. I chose these white ones
Right.
as my horse. And I vouched for them, and I was the one who said, we're producing both of them. And I just got killed. I got
It's the white. They get dirty too easy.
They do.
I think that's in their mind going, you know what? I've got white socks.
So I just I sport both of them
Yeah.
just about every week. But
So what you do with the leftovers? Like, you just going to hand them
we
out?
give them out.
out.
We give them out. So we give them to people at conferences, and so you weren't at this conference, but you're at a conference. So
Yes.
here's some
You
socks.
could take them to a bail bondsman. That way the criminal thinks, wait a minute, this is how I got
Nah.
caught. No, you didn't want to think that would work.
I don't know if that's good marketing.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I'll run that by my fractional CMO.
Exactly. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining us. This
Yeah,
has been
thanks
so
for
much
having me.
fun.
Awesome.
It's an honor to be here in the new space.
First one.
Man.
Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome. All right, onward
good.
and upward.
All right. Thanks.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Corporate Caffeine podcast, please help us help you by subscribing. I also hope you'll find us on social media. You can follow me, Dacia Coffee, and my company, The Marketing Blender, by searching us on your favorite platform or checking out the show notes for the links. We bring this to you because we envision a business world full of meaning, connection, and prosperity for us all. Until next time, onward and upward.